Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest and most entertaining stories. Today, I'm going to give a story titled, Cheat on Me, Enjoy Your New Life. And guys, this story is about a guy, husband, father, and he thought he had the perfect life, the perfect marriage, everything's great. But just like many of these stories I go over with, it's not always the case. And in this story here, to no surprise, he finds out that his wife is cheating on him. And not to mention, cheating on him is a guy is pretty disgusting, to put it mildly. And what he does to get proof of this is very entertaining, let me tell you. And when he eventually finds out and has proof of this, what he does to handle the situation and his missus is even more entertaining. Now, there are some elements of this story that definitely had me curious how accurate it is. But I'll leave that up for you guys to decide whether some of this is BS or not. But as the saying goes, truth is definitely stranger than fiction. But without further ado, I'm going to jump into the story. Starts off, to the story. Me and my friends sometimes hang out with a guy we will call Mark. Mark is in his 40s, happily married to a woman. They have 2 kids that are in their teens. I will tell this story as accurately as possible for Mark what Mark told us. So this is a friend of Mark telling this story because obviously this guy probably doesn't want his dirty laundry put online, but this guy's putting it there anyway. So here we go. He says, as you know, married life can many times get boring. With 9-to-5 jobs, mundane life in a small village, kids are growing up, so you don't have to look after them 24/7 anymore. So you do what you can and make life interesting. You get a dog, start some hobbies, etc., etc. Or so at least Mark thought. He also thought that his happy little life would last forever. Wrong. Mark found out through the grapevine that while he was playing sports, being at work, trying to break the boring life that they were having, his wife, let's call her Mandy, was attending to some hobbies of her own. Hobbies that include getting sweaty and real passionate with another man from a few towns over. At first, the rumors didn't bother him. They were rumors after all. Any rumor would make any guy bothered. Let's come on here. But something in Mandy's behavior started to change. No more fun time with Mark. She started to get distant. No more talking, just yelling, being annoyed, etc., etc. It went on for months. Now those are stereotypical characteristics if a wife is cheating. Countless times I've seen them in stories I've done. This struck Mark as off. At one time after we were done playing soccer, he asked us what to do. We came up with several advice, like confronting her, but Mark didn't want to ruin his marriage over some mood swings and a rumor. So, he did what every sane man would do. He set up cameras all throughout the house. I don't know if every sane man would put cameras all throughout the house. I think a sane man would try to find another way. A very creative man would put cameras throughout the house. He says, and I'm talking PI quality stuff here. He had cameras in the bathroom, the living room, their bedroom, basically everywhere but the room of his children. He updated us on his new hobby and his setup, and things cooled off for a few weeks. After a few weeks, after soccer time, we went out for a few beers. Mark wasn't quite himself, so we inquired what was wrong. He told us after several nights of reviving tape, he found out that Mandy was indeed cheating on him. He was furious. They were married for 20 plus years, they were high school sweethearts with 2 boys, and she betrayed him. This is unfortunately common. It's like the midlife crisis type of situation. Typically this happens in the stories I've got over in the 30s, 40s, just like that. Now comes the revenge part. He didn't confront her right away. Mark formulated a plan. Living only a few towns over, he had no problem getting the guy's phone number. Now you all know those pesky advertising companies who call you to get you to buy products, right? Mark pretended to be one of them and called the guy with the pretense that he was selling him some body cleansing pills and other shit. He knew the guy was overweight, and being quite a smooth talker, he didn't have much of a problem getting him hooked. He got the guy's name, last name, which he already knew, his address, social security number, job address, and some other stuff that doesn't really matter to the story. Well, I want to know why he actually wanted the social security number, or how anybody would be dumb enough to give their social security number to some number that they don't recognize. But people are dumb, so okay, maybe. He told the guy he was in a ballot for different prizes from the company that he was working for, and he would stay in touch in case the guy won anything at all. After that came part 2. While Manny was at work on Friday, he packed up all the stuff that she owned, clothes, jewelry, collectibles, and other stuff into the family car. There's no way that every possession that a woman owns in her 40s can be packed up in the family car, unless they have a giant frickin' van or something, and even then, clothes, shoes, jewelry, BS, maybe the most important things, but all the things in one car. I mean, does this guy have a limousine? One of those giant Humvee limousines you see in Las Vegas? It says here, they have a VW Touran, so everything she had easily fit in. When Mandy came home from work, he told her they were going on a trip. At first she was against it, but again, the smooth talker convinced her to roll over pretty quickly, and she got in the van with him. Before that, he took the boys to one of the friends' house. They weren't 18 yet, and he is a responsible father, and off they went. Where did they go, you ask? Remember how he called the guy Mandy was cheating on? I think you know the answer. Sadly, or very hilariously, Mandy had no clue. So I guess she just went along with this. Okay, we're packed up to go somewhere, but she's probably looking back in the car saying, we have an awful lot of stuff here, husband, but okay. Sadly, or very hilariously, Mandy had no clue. He took all of her belongings to the guy's address and called him on the way. Telling him to come outside, he said he won the first prize and he was going to give it to him. Oh, quite a prize, all right. You're getting the wife. Mandy still had no clue. She thought he was just pranking one of his friends. I believe you realize that by now. She isn't the brightest one in the world. Well, there are some truly dumb people out there, both men and women. Gullible as hell. Imagine her in the guy's face when he rolled into the parking spot of the guy's house. He stepped out of the car, shook the guy's hand, and told him, "Here's your prize, sir. I believe you know what it is." Took one last look at Mandy's white face and walked off. He got custody of both his kids since he's better off than her. Also, told the judge she was cheating, and that's why he was divorcing her. This all happened last year, and as far as we know, the guy was a grade a-hole, and she left him soon after that. After a few attacks, the guy was hurting her, I can't say some of the certain words here, and trips to the ER/police station. Mark got over her, and after some time and a lot of alcohol, but he and his boys are doing great. They were both big enough to realize their mom was at fault and still barely talk to her when they go visit. Now I gotta wonder why he got so easy in the divorce, but again, this is from a different country, and hey, you never know, could be different. I mean, here in the States, depending on where you live, we got no-fault divorce states, so even if she cheats and does everything possible, still, doesn't matter. It's ridiculous and unfair as can be towards guys, but that's how it is, but I'm guessing this was not the case. She tried to return to Mark's life on a few occasions, but he did the smartest thing and told her to F right off. Well, I would have too. He told us the story after we went out for a few beers after soccer again. I was laughing so hard imagining the whole thing I had to go to the bathroom. Otherwise, I would have peed myself. I hope you enjoy the story as much as we did. And he has a few small updates here. He says, responding to questions he had, he says, edit, it's not a Social Security number. We are not from the USA. He says, many people got hung up on it. It's a tax number, and I assume he asked for it to sound more believable. Well, the guy was a moron for giving any kind of information like that over the phone when he called. Another one, I fixed some spelling errors. A lot of people are reading a lot into every detail I presented Mark's story. For instance, how he got all her stuff into one car. Well, that's what I wanted to know. Well, of course he couldn't, and maybe he got some movers afterwards. Just imagine the van being packed with her stuff for a trip. Whatever floats your boat. I said I'm writing this from memory. Some things may not add up to your careful eyes. Be warned. I also wasn't at the court hearing for custody, but the kids live with him and they visit the mother every other weekend. I asked them how it is, and they said it's pretty petty between her trying to get their approval and trying to convince them she was not at fault. They are 16 and 17 years old now, so I believe them. I guess I'm sorry for doing that. Lastly, this story isn't fake just because he got the rights to the kids. I know how things are in the USA, but judges here take everything into account. They rarely give them to the person who is more equipped to take care of the kids. That includes salary, where they live, how they act in court, etc. Get off your high USA horse, since not all governments are female-centered and corrupt. Okay. But anyhow, guys, that's a quick story here, but definitely an interesting revenge story in terms of, and also how he found out about his wife with the cameras all over the house. Again, I've done stories like this. Some guys had GoPros, some people had other cameras, and they see the worst, But in today's world, it's just amazing to me, just the stories I go over, both here on this channel, but also on my other channel for the last year and a half, what people do to each other. It definitely gives a lot of guys second thoughts about ever saying I do. But you always got to be careful, always got to watch out. So, anyhow, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below, know what you think about this. And guys, you ever come across a really good story like me to share, by all means, email it to me. And if it definitely works, I will certainly cover it in a future video. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.